Kaleeh Rose Insight, where I will be discussing everyday issues we face in today's society. Today's topic I want to talk about is how to identify your triggers. Number one, recognize similar patterns in your behavior when in conflict and being triggered. Number two, identify the words that trigger you so you can understand why you feel that way about the word. Try to recall back when you first began to become triggered by the word and what was happening during that time. Number three, what emotion do you feel when you hear this word? Is it hurt? Is it sadness? Is it anger? You have to identify that. Number four, compare the way you felt when you was first triggered by the word. If you can recall back to when you first felt triggered by this word, what is it that you felt at that time by the word? Okay, so if you're more triggered by the word now than you were when you first heard it or you first felt it, it's because you carried it for so long. So the trigger has magnified. Your reaction is not to the word or the person itself. It's from the amount of time that you carry that trigger and those emotions. That it's magnified. So take for instance, like something could happen to you in your childhood, or somebody called you a name in your childhood, or people teased you in your childhood about this thing. Now, although you're an adult today, and you may not even identify with that person or whatever that thing was at this time, if you didn't fully heal from it, you've carried it all this time. So even if somebody called you that today and you don't even identify with it anymore, it's not even a true statement, but you still have those emotions tied to it from when you was a kid. So because you know how you felt as a child. And then as a child, you may have been angry, you may have been sad, you may have been insecure about it. So we think that we've healed from things because we've grown up, and you may not even identify with those things anymore, but you can still be carrying it into your adulthood. So when you hear it again, even though it may not even be you or any characteristics that you hold at the time, you still will be triggered by it because you would tie it back to that emotion of how you felt as a child. So that's why it's good to kind of like go back, even if you're triggered about something now that you don't even identify, because most times we become triggered about things we don't even understand why we're upset about them, because it's so untrue that you don't even understand why you're mad about it. But if you really go back to when you first was triggered by it, then you will probably find somewhere where it's like, oh, when I was a child, this happened, and that's why I'm identifying with the child in me that had emotions about it. You know what I mean? Basically, versus who I am now. This may not even be who you are, so you shouldn't even be upset about it. It should almost be a laughing thing. Today, if you were really healed by it, you wouldn't have any emotions about it. It would be like not important to you. You wouldn't take it so seriously. It will be almost a joke because you know that you don't resonate with that now. But if you're still carrying those emotions from when you was a child, then you have to kind of go back and almost coach yourself to say, okay, that was when I was a kid. I'm not that anymore. You know what I mean? So there's no reason for me to be upset about it, because a lot of the times people, especially if it's people that you knew from childhood, if those people still know you as an adult and they don't per se like you, or pretend, they pretend to like you, but they don't like you, they will keep pulling up the past things that you didn't like about yourself then to trigger you, to get a reaction out of you. Now, although you may not even identify with that person anymore, they can use that against you to get you out of your character and, to make you emotional when it's something that you don't even identify with anymore. So that's something to look at to heal from your triggers, because I notice in today's society, people they call it joking, or, it's a joke or shade or whatever the case is. but it's really just a tactic to trigger you, to get you out of character, to put you in your feelings, to almost like knock you down a peg, because they may feel like, they may feel like you higher up than them, so they feel like they have to keep bringing up something from your past to drag you down. But if it's something that you don't resonate with anymore, then it shouldn't work. So that's the whole thing. That's what a lot of people in today's society do, is they say, oh, you're triggered. So they pull emotions from you from when you were a child, which, yes, they can do that. That's why it's good to heal, so that people can't do that to you. So when they do bring it up, you can be like, yeah, that was when I was younger. Bye. But what am I now? You know what I mean? So you can always draw back to who you are now and squash the whole thing, and then they can't use it. But I noticed a lot of people use it. They poke at triggers or insecurities that you have, because everybody has insecurities in this world. Every single person, regardless to the person in your mind that is the perfectest person, they have insecurities too. But a lot of times now people just, out of hurt, they like to hurt other people. So they trigger you, and they'll draw back as far as 20, 30 years just to try to bring up something sensitive to you, to put you in some kind of emotion. But if you heal from those things, they can't keep drawing you back. You see what I'm saying? They can't keep drawing you back to that. But if you really look at it, even if somebody does do that to you, the fact that they're doing it should already tell you that they're obviously triggered by you in some kind of way. Although you may not be doing anything that you feel that you would be triggering them about, it's something within you that is triggering them in order for them to do that. So it's just an ongoing cycle. So every single person can be triggered by something, but if you can go back and point out every single thing that triggered you, because this is just to help you to master yourself, so that people can't throw stuff in your face, you know what I mean? And they can't take you out of character. They can't get you in your emotions. As long as you go back to know what it is that triggered you and why it triggered you, and remove yourself from that time, because you're like, that happened when I was younger. I'm nothing like that person now, so it's no reason for me to even be affected by that. Look how far I've grown since then. So all you have to do is go back to when that time happened and think how much growth you've had since then, and that will take you out of it. You can pray about it. Pray God heals you from any past hurt you went through, and let it go. And then people, when they bring it up, it won't affect you. You won't be affected by it, and then they'll stop doing it, because they only do it to get a rise out of you. Once you give them no reaction, then they have to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? So that's just some insight for you. Hope this helps.